Hello everyone, I'm Mike C. Welcome back into the Chrono Cabin.
Trick or treat, it's what to say at Halloween!
And welcome to the Halloween edition. We're going to talk about some of the horror movies that I have seen during this Halloween countdown season, as well as a couple really great horror video games that I have been playing just to get into the Halloween spirit. I haven't actually posted on this channel for a while, and the reason is just because I have been really busy, and also I have been working on a project with a very good friend of mine. His name is Daniel, and we're both big horror fans. So the new podcast is called Stay Out of Them Woods, or as I like to say, Stay Out of Them Woods. And we have our pilot episode up, and it's basically a horror podcast. So if you're into horror, I think you'll like this. But we have a little twist in this horror podcast in that we improv a short horror story, and I have it set up to where I am actually playing music on my keyboard while we're improvising. And it just kind of adds to the ambiance, and we're just trying to see what comes out. You never know. Improv, hey, could be anything. Could be good, could be bad. But so far, it's been quite good. We have our pilot episode up. If you want to check it out, it is in the link below. Also, I've actually been posting a lot of content, shorts with Billy on TikTok and Instagram. If you want to check those out, they're a lot of fun. They have to do with my Halloween countdown, which started on September 1st. Before we get into the horror movies and the video games, I thought we'd start off with some fun Halloween content. Just a couple little Halloween nuggets that I found floating around. And you can see I have my clipboard here. It's really cool. It's very analog. But I decided to go Tom Hatton on this. If you know who Tom Hatton is, props to you. Props to you. First little Halloween nugget that I have for you here is that we have a new world record for the largest pumpkin ever grown. They call it a mega gourd. And for good reason. Here's a picture. The weight is actually 2,749 pounds. Wow. Can you imagine if that crane broke? If someone was under it, you'd be smushed, and there'd be pumpkin chunks everywhere. But yes, this new world record goes to three-time winner Travis Ginger of Anoka, Minnesota. So congratulations. He broke his own record. I don't know how I'd actually feel about standing next to a pumpkin that big. When I was a little kid, I used to have night terrors really bad. Night frights, they used to call them. And wow, they were bad. Basically, small objects would become very large. I don't know why that was scary, but it was. And also, sounds would become extremely loud. Start off with a whisper and then become extremely loud. I don't know if anyone's ever had night frights as a kid or night terrors, but they're pretty scary. But anyway, just being next to a pumpkin that big kind of reminds me of that. But anyway, hey, imagine that. I mean, if you were to smash that pumpkin, I mean, that'd be a feat in itself. My next little Halloween nugget was sent to me by my friend Carlos. Actually, he found this on Reddit. And this is actually a very cool flowchart timeline of the entire Halloween franchise, and I thought I'd share it with you. So take a look. This was brought to you by Adam H. Levac. Find him, give him some follows on his socials. So we'll start with the second row from the top. You have the main timeline, or as Adam calls it, the sequel timeline. And this is basically Halloween 1978, the original, and then it goes Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, and Halloween 6. Right below that, you have the 20th anniversary movies, and those actually branch off from Halloween 2. So it's as if the timeline continues from the point at which Halloween 2 left off. Now at the top, you have the 40-year timeline, which is the most recent trilogy, and that actually branches off from part 1. Now on the bottom, you have the Rob Zombie reboot films. I've been very vocal about this. I do not like the Rob Zombie versions. It's nothing against Rob Zombie. I think he's very talented, but I just did not like what he did with the Halloween movies. So you have those two movies down there on the left, and then of course, the bottom right, one of my favorites actually, standing on an island all alone, is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Yeah, this is the anthology series. Even though it's only one movie, I think he aptly named it the anthology series because originally it was supposed to be a type of anthology collection that was going to come out. But you know, the other day I was thinking, Halloween 3, that was actually a great movie. I mean, people didn't like it at first, but it really caught on. And I often thought, what are they going to do here with the Halloween franchise? Because we've kind of finalized Michael Myers' character. Jamie Lee Curtis is stepping down from her role. So we either have a new generation of actors starting up a new timeline, or we could, just for thought's sake out there, just throwing this out, they could create like an anthology series, which is what Halloween 3 was originally supposed to be. Unique movies with different storylines, but all kind of under the same universe. And I think they would have to rebrand it. And I think that was one of the problems why Halloween 3 never really took off, is just because the branding. I mean, it was Halloween, so we were expecting Michael Myers. Everyone was expecting Michael Myers, and everyone was confused when there was no Michael Myers in it. I think this would be a great time to maybe explore the Halloween anthology series. What started with Halloween 3, maybe we could branch this off into a new thing. Who knows? I don't know. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think it's a good idea. All right, now let's get into the movies, the horror movies that I have seen this Halloween season. And you know what? I gotta say, this has been quite a good Halloween countdown. I think one of my more memorable ones, because we've had a lot of new, interesting movies come out. I'll get right into it. This is not my favorite by any means. I went with my friends Carlos and Ed to see The Exorcist Believer. I wanted to like this one. Here's the reactions from Carlos and Ed. Ed, what'd you think of The Exorcist?
It was totally something to do.
Carlos, what did you think? Yeah, I think we were all kind of on par with it. Like, we were entertained. It was an entertaining movie. I felt like they did really good work with the makeup. I thought it looked good. The movie looked good. I just felt that there was a wandering a bit in the story. Characters weren't utilized well. It was nice to see some of the familiar faces come back, but overall, I think it was an average movie, I have to say. So why am I mentioning it? It's just because I think the Exorcist franchise is going to have trouble. I mean, it's a 50-year-old franchise, and they're sort of replacing the sequels from the beginning. Now, I get it, part 2 was never that great, but part 3 was actually, I thought, quite a good movie. I do think they're going to have trouble recouping on this, because it cost $400 million just to get the rights to the franchise. They want to make a trilogy. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I think it's a movie that you didn't need to see in the theater. The sound was not very good, I have to admit. At first, I thought it was just the theater that we were seeing it in, but it felt like the dialogue was mixed really, really low. And I asked my friends that too, and they were like, it's probably the theater. But no, I've read other people saying it, and actually a sound engineer too, saying the dialogue was mixed really low. I don't know why that was in this case, but it's got a very classic following, I think, but most modern generations don't know The Exorcist. And I think this is going to be a hard franchise to ride, but we'll see what happens with it. Just wanted to throw that in there. So let's actually get to some of my favorite horror movies that I've seen this Halloween season. I'll start off with Evil Dead Rise. Yeah, I really, really like this. Now, even though I saw this in the theater and it was midsummer, I think, when I saw it, I did a video on that, by the way. You can check that out. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I'm throwing it in there because I did rewatch it again this Halloween season, and it is streaming now. It's a great Halloween movie to watch. I really enjoyed it. It was intense. It was fun. It was great to see in the theater, so highly recommend that one. Now, you can watch Evil Dead Rise currently on Max. Next, After.life. This is one of those movies where I was like, how did I miss this one? It's got a great cast. Liam Neeson. The story really centers around Christina Ricci's character and Liam Neeson's character. Liam Neeson plays an undertaker, and Christina Ricci ends up in the morgue. And it's a great movie. You have to just see it. The story kind of keeps you guessing through the entire thing of whether she's alive or dead. Very, very good movie. Well done. Can't believe I missed it. It's probably going to be on my Halloween watch list from now on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't recommend it enough. You can watch it on Amazon Prime Video. Moving on, The Fall of the House of Usher. Yes, I'm a huge Mike Flanagan fan. This one's on Netflix, of course. And this is his new limited series based on the short stories of Edgar Allan Poe. In fact, we might as well just say it's based on a lot of works by Edgar Allan Poe, including The Raven, The Cask of Amontillado, The Telltale Heart, The Mask of the Red Death, which is a full-length book. And I think Mike Flanagan did an amazing job of weaving all the stories together with the same characters. And again, if you like Mike Flanagan, you're gonna like this, I think. But Edgar Allan Poe's writings are very based on the characters themselves. So Mike Flanagan's an easy fit since he is very character-centered. So give that one a watch. I think it does have a very good Halloween vibe too. Enjoyed it quite a bit. The one that I really, really liked this year, that I have to say, was Totally Killer. I thought it was a breath of fresh air. It was a great take on the slasher genre. It involves a time machine where a girl goes back into time to try to help save her mom from getting murdered. And this one stars Kiernan Shipka, and I think she is fantastic in this movie. She is really funny. Her comedic timing is so good. So she's a really good actress because she can do drama really well. She can do horror great, and she can actually do horror comedy really, really well. Like, her expressions in this were fantastic. Her reactions to things. And it's really fun if you were someone that grew up in the 80s, because she does go back to the 80s and she's shocked at all the things that she sees in the 80s. That was the thing that cracked me up the most. And you know what? If you have someone that is not really into horror movies or gets scared easily, like my wife Susanna, she gets scared very easily, you can watch this one. My wife loved this movie. She was laughing. And it does have a good amount of gore in it. But the story is really good. Very unique take. They actually brought in the Mandela effect, and they kind of made it make sense, which I thought it was fantastic. If you don't know what the Mandela effect, there's plenty of stuff out there that you can look at. And the last one on my pick here is When Evil Lurks. This one is on Shudder. In the United States, it had a theatrical run, and it was hard not to hear about this movie because people kept talking about it. But I waited till it came to Shudder, and it came to Shudder very close to Halloween on October 26th. And man, nothing prepared me for it. I've seen fire, I've seen rain, and I've seen movies that stick in your mind. And this one, it was dark. There's some hard scenes to watch. Like, if you're an animal lover, this one's gonna be a tough one to get through. Obviously, no animals were hurt, but it's just hard to watch. This movie is from Argentina, and I don't know what else to say about it except you're gonna be wowed by some of the scenes, I think. I wasn't terribly happy with the ending, I have to say, but what are you gonna do? It was a near perfect movie for me. And it's one of those movies where it's sort of a wandering movie. You're way out in the rural areas and there's some type of plague, but then we find out that it's not a plague at all. It's basically people becoming possessed, but it's a much different kind of possession. This is where I thought they got very, very unique with it. Because if someone becomes possessed in a town or a village and they don't exorcise them correctly, they call them cleaners. If a cleaner doesn't come and basically make them better, well then the evil gets out. And when the evil gets out, entire towns are destroyed. That is a unique concept all on its own. And I don't think I've ever seen something quite like that. It's kind of a slow burn, but at times it is just frightening. I don't know any other way to put it. You're just filled with a sense of dread. So anyway, check that one out on Shudder. There's a lot of great things I want to say. I don't want to make this video too long, and it's very new, so I don't want to tell you too much. Just go out and see for yourself. See if you like it, maybe you don't. I don't know. Let me know. Finally, we'll end up with the horror games that I am playing. And this year I kept it kind of simple, all on my PS5. Believe it or not, and I know some gamers out there, they might be like, well, you're not a Resident Evil fan if you never played Resident Evil 4, but I never did. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because now I'm getting to play the remastered version. And boy, this one is awesome. I really enjoy it. I've done a video before where I talked about Resident Evil 7 Biohazard and Resident Evil 8 Village. If you haven't seen that, check it out. If you're interested to get into the Resident Evil series, a great way to start is actually with Part 7, Biohazard, but play Biohazard and Village in that order because it's the same universe of characters and timeline. But you really could just play those and you'd be okay. Resident Evil 4 Remake, it's kind of the same thing. You don't really have to know too much about the past. You work for the Special Forces. You're sent into this Eastern European area because the president's daughter, the United States president's daughter, has been kidnapped for some unknown reason. And the story plays out from there, and it's actually a very good story. Resident Evil 4 is great though, and it is a breakout game because I did play Resident Evil 1, the original, and it was all puzzle. Little bit of combat, just a little bit. It was actually kind of difficult. This is one where they actually kind of evolved more of the combat. I don't know what it was like to play the original Resident Evil 4, but whatever they did in this, I think it's great. The controls are great, except for reloading. I hate reloading, but you can do stuff to make it faster. It's pretty difficult, I gotta admit. It's not one of the easier Resident Evil games. You have to manage your ammo, run out of ammo, health, all that stuff real quick. So you got to kind of keep track of what you're doing, how much you have, save up your money, buy stuff that you think you're going to need. But anyway, I love the game and highly recommend it if you're a horror game fan. There's a lot of horror games out there, and there's been a lot of horror games this year, but this was my horror game of choice. And then, of course, there is Alan Wake 2. Now, I've talked about the Alan Wake remaster in one of my videos. You can see that here if you want to check that out. But I think Alan Wake 2 is quite good so far. Now, I'm not that far into the game. It really just came out, I believe, on the 26th, and I got it on the 27th, I think. I'm not that far into the game yet, so I'm going to be honest with you here, but I'm really enjoying it. It does remind me a lot of the Alan Wake remake. It looks pretty damn good, in my opinion. I was a little concerned because all of the review codes came out for the PC, and that can mean, like, oh, what's it going to look like on the consoles? But no, as far as I'm concerned, on my PS5, on my TV, I think the game looks great. I haven't gotten into some of the intense combat, so I can't tell you about that just yet, but so far I'm really enjoying the story. That's really why I play the Alan Wake games. It's mostly for the story. But visually, it's pretty stunning, and you really do have kind of an open world in this. I mean, you can really go off the beaten path, whereas in the older game, I think it was kind of directing you more linearly, you know, as to where you had to go. But in this game, no, you can branch off and you can go check something out, like that's up a trail, or so I've actually had kind of fun doing that. But the story so far is quite good. Hard to believe that another Halloween season is almost done. But you know, here at the Chrono Cabin, we keep Halloween going all through November, all through the holidays too. In fact, all year. Happy Halloween to all of you. Thank you for all of you that have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed and you like my content, please subscribe. Also, if you like this video, give it a like and leave comments about whatever movies you've been watching, whatever horror video games. Have a great and safe Halloween.
Trick or treat!